3, 2, 1. And there's some mess going on behind the scenes. I got it written down, and we're gonna ask about it. Shouts out to everybody tuned in right now. If you was watching gymnastics earlier, shouts out to you. If you're watching football right now, Davis Mills and Tyson Bagent are doing footballs right now. So y'all go over there and check them out. But I'm Voch, that's BRY getting Broaddus, and that's Jeff Kavanaugh. This is the Doing All Right Cast, Scout Cast show. All right.
Yeah.
So, appreciate y'all for being here. Jeff, Bryan, how you doing? I know you're doing all right because that's the show, but how y'all doing?
We're doing all right.
Yeah.
We're doing all right.
I don't normally do this. I don't normally, you know what I'm saying, with y'all characters.
I kind of feel like today that we need to open up the show with Mike Zimmer calling out Jeff's take on Mozzie Smith.
Well, let's do that shit then. Come on.
Jeff? I don't think that's what happened. I think he came after Bryan.
Why do you think he came after me? I'm friends with the guy.
Because
he knows better than to come after me.
Mozzie's been really struggling, and it's real tough out there for him. And then Zimmer said, "Don't listen to the practice reports. I'd like what I've seen from Mozzie." So I think he was going right at you. I think Mike Zimmer loaded up a clip and just bop, bop, bop. And I think he felt comfortable doing it because you're friends. He was like, I can go at Bryan and I can defend my player a little bit because he can use that right now. I'm going to help him out a little bit, prop him up a little bit, and I'm going to fire shots at my friend. No way he was targeting me.
I think he was definitely targeting you because of your,
Probably.
I think that Mozzie's the third best guy here kind of a deal. But hey, I'll tell you what, if I would have been interested to see Jeff Zagina get up there and have the opportunity.
Who he want to wrestle? Who wants to fight that guy?
I mean, I'm sure but hey, you know what? This is what's really good. And by the way, thank you to Ian. I see here on the chat, they loved our conversation with Brian Schottenheimer today. So appreciate you listening to that. Yeah, I think that Mike has to do these kinds of things. You know, I really do. I mean, what's he going to say? That Mozzie's a bag of ass and he's not playing very well and this, that, and the other. I mean, Clarence Hill got Stephen Jones to say, hey, we're looking for defensive tackles, defensive ends. They signed 2 of them today, which I was talking to Nick Eatman this morning when I walked into the facility. Nick goes, man, they're working these guys out. He goes, I wouldn't be surprised they signed 2. So I'm like going, oh, okay. Carl Lawson was part of that group, but he was not one of the ones they signed. I did talk to somebody in the organization that was there for the workout, and Carl Lawson's workout, they felt like that he was a little bit quicker than what we saw on tape. I kind of felt like Carl Lawson was a better run defender now than he was a pass rusher. So, but here we are, signed a couple of guys, and I think they are looking at some defensive tackles. So, I don't know how you can't right now.
Why would they be looking at defensive tackles? They really like what they've seen from what they got. They got really
Jeff, they like Brock Hoffman, but there's better dudes on the team. Liking somebody don't mean that person needs to be the dude. But Bryan, to that point you were saying though, I did have that thought for you. Like when you're replacing Sam Williams for the year, are you looking for a guy that's more run intensive because that's kind of what we're not good at in the first place, or are you trying to get a dude like Sam, which was a pass rushy guy?
Yeah, man, you're reading my mind here, partner. I appreciate you doing that. The thing when you were looking, can you find traits in the defensive ends or your person that you're trying to bring in that's similar to the guys that you lost? And to be honest with you, I was really thinking that maybe that they were going to go with Justin Hollins, who was he played in an odd front 3-4. He was more of a stand-up guy. I watched him against Green Bay and the Los Angeles Chargers, and he's built a little bit more like Sam, that long, rangy, kind of a stand-up edge. And I thought that maybe that's kind of the route that they would go, that type of guy. But with the guys they signed a little bit, some guys that are the explosiveness and the quickness is there. I will say this. I kind of feel like that Toney, Shaka Toney, who they got, I think he's a little bit better of a combination guy when it comes to rushing the passer and being able to play the run. I really do like he's really a special teams guy. A lot of the tape was special teams, but I was able to kind of pick and choose some games. But this was all 2022 tape because he was suspended for the year for the gambling stuff.
Mhm.
So he was out for the entire year. And so, but if you watch the 2022 tape, the guy had some positive stuff. He was a teammate of Parsons too at Penn State. So do you remember him, Jeff, watching him? Do you remember much? What do you remember about him? Did you have any thoughts about him?
Oh man, no, I do not. No, you'd have to go back and look up notes. I just enjoyed that they did the most on-brand stuff they could for the fan base to kind of get some giggles. That they just signed 2 dudes that were both suspended last year.
Actually, Muhammad is going to miss another game. So if he makes the team, he'll miss week 1 because of the.
Is it a leftover from his PED suspension?
PEDs, yeah, he had a 6-gamer. Yeah.
Anybody?
I just want to say real quick. I support PED suspensions and I support people who take PEDs because your earning window is small. So if you're not trying your best, then I'm disappointed in you. But I want you to get away with it. If you're not going to get away with it, don't do it.
Anybody that's ever got popped for the PEDs or whatever, they always come back real good, and you almost go, okay, well that 6 games that you lost was worth it because you're much better than you once were. Like it's the 6 is like it's in the system still. But Bryan, to your point, I do remember watching Toney, and he was more of a slim built kind of guy, kind of a long army kind of dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Got pushed around a little bit, but he was able to be run game guy because he was able to extend on people.
Yeah,
and then he was kind of like bendy, like pass rushy dude, but he wasn't the most twitchy bendy dude. He was just long, slim pass rushy dude. That's probably why he won the 7th round.
Yeah, I tell you, the thing about it was though, when I was watching him on tape, and again, it was against, and there was some regular season games. It was the Commanders were playing the Eagles and stuff, so I was watching him against Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata and guys like that. You know, the thing that he was able to do was he was able to get up the field pretty quick and then get to shoulder, and then being able to, the problem that he had a couple of times were that he got pushed past Hurts. You know, he got pushed, where he was upfield, but then all of a sudden he just, instead of like you're talking about being really bendy and closing it down, he kind of got washed a little bit past. But the change of direction skills were really good. I mean, the guy was a wrap-up tackler. There was a couple times where the ball got to the outside and he had to chase, and he was able to make the tackle. And so I was kind of like, when you start to talk about guys on the street, and we all know the stories and stuff like that. But when you're working guys out, you're just looking for traits. You're trying to kind of, like I said, try and find a guy to replace that. That you lost a guy, try and find some of his traits that maybe they could take advantage of, like I say, with Muhammad, and then with Toney, the guys that, like I say, because Muhammad's got some get off too. The juice that he had, I thought he was pretty explosive coming out of his stance, but he tends to pop up. He's like one of these guys that, like, he, instead of going flat, or coming off the ball flat, he kind of pops up and then he goes, but there's some quickness there to that. And he's a relentless player, man. He was just like, it was one of those things where you watch him go up the field, retrace steps, get out to the flat, go here, go there. I was pretty impressed with his ability to kind of get around and find the football and then go try and make a play.
As far as Lawson, he's like the bigger name out of this group or whatever. And he's tweeting out everything and people going, oh, Shaq Lawson, let's do Carl Lawson, let's do it. Shaq Lawson never do. Carl Lawson, let's do it. Bryan, is that like a injured thing? Is that okay, the other 2 dudes just better and they worked out better? Or is Carl Lawson trying to get like $50 a year and that's way out of the
Do you think, Jeff, it's a money thing? Do you think he was going
No, I have no
money?
but if that were the case, like if his asking price was more, I could totally see the Cowboys being like, no, we'll just take the guys that just want to play for league minimum and take a shot at it. And I could totally see the Cowboys doing that.
Yeah, I kind of felt like though with Lawson though, and I mentioned I talked to somebody that was there for the workout. I just watching his tape with the Jets, it seemed like he lost a little bit as a pass rusher. But the guy told me in the workout they had today that he looked like that he was a little bit quicker than what you would see on tape. That's the thing I was concerned about. I'm like, okay, you're going to get a guy that's just a run defender, or you're going to get a guy that can do a little bit of both. And Lawson's clearly the big name here, but I think they went for the guys that maybe have a little bit more pass rush ability, but also can play the run. I think they're looking for some combo guys here.
Can I just jump in and ask this, or ask either of you this? Because
Por favor.
just the names and where they are, and the fact that one is coming off a suspension, and even before it was a practice squad guy last year. Like, these aren't guys that are, big time or impact or whatever. They're just trying to throw more dudes in the mix to see who in the world can be the fourth end or the fourth edge guy, right? You got Parsons, you got Tank, you got Nealand, and they're just looking at the rest and going, oh man, like, who's going to play NFL snaps? And it just seems like they're trying to put more dudes in the mix. Like, can we find somebody that can play some NFL snaps?
Well, what they're probably thinking about this too is they're thinking that maybe, Duriel Johnson, okay, kind of is what he is. They probably think that maybe this Tyrus Wheat could be a guy. That to me, if you're looking for a legitimate guy, throw a couple of darts. I mean, they need the bodies to practice. I mean, you're honestly, let's be honest, you're trying to replace Fowler and you're trying to replace Armstrong. It's not just Sam Williams. Maybe that one of these guys will step up in the preseason and he's rushing in the second half of games. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, hey, our guy from the Commanders, who sat out the whole entire, Toney, who sat out the whole entire year, maybe he looks fresh and all of a sudden, well, this is a legitimate rusher and, he's better than Fowler. He's better than what Armstrong was doing. I think that's what they're really trying to do right now. But I believe that I think they really, really want this Tyrus Wheat to show up and be the guy that at times in the preseason that he was last year.
Also, too, Jeff, and Bryan doesn't like to say on the streets, but where are the legit pass rushes that's on the streets? You really don't really see those guys just floating out there. Like, if it's a pass rusher and you're trying to replace what Sam is, like, those dudes just not going to exist. So all you got is, I don't even want to say buddy name, you know what I'm saying? Because saying it wrong gonna make me sound racist, but Muhammad, like, where he come from, where Shaka told them, I don't know where they come from. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you getting these guys, you might have to get 5 or 6 of them, just like kickers. Look, Brandon Aubrey wasn't the first kicker that we had to fix. You know what I'm saying? We had to bring guys in. Garibay, hallelujah, y'all go kick. Okay, cool. It's none of y'all. We're gonna roll with them. I think you have to do that with the edge dudes. And hey, we got some joint stuff coming up. We got some preseason coming up. Let's see Shaka get some reps. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, if they're going to add legitimate pass rushers, probably it's going to have to be on waiver claims or potential trades. And to me, I could deal with the edges. I'm looking at these defensive tackles. If you're going to move significant capital or move, but let's be honest, you try to use significant capital to draft a guy who right now coaches are saying is doing everything he's supposed to be doing. Some eyes will tell you, well, he's also getting coached really, really hard on things that everything that they complimented him on, they're struggling with that. So to me, I'm kind of looking, if you're going to spend money, let's go spend money on a defensive tackle. Yeah. And I'm not saying that Linville Joseph, he's very similar to what you had with Hankins. I think the Hankins loss is big. I would have tried to keep Hankins is what I would have tried to do, but they felt like, well, this is a year for Mozzie and let's, so this is not the first time that they've done something where it's like, okay, let's move on for a guy because we've already got somebody that we need to play better.
I think they are really, with the defensive front, like, you are teetering on full-blown emergency. Like, they got their pass rushers are obviously, Micah Parsons is awesome. Tank Lawrence is awesome. I think Marshawn Nealand is going to be fine even as a rookie.
Yeah.
But even when you go to the interior, like, Osa's fine. Osa's a solid player. Golston at the 3, it's real weird because I watch him at practice every day. Mm-hmm. And Chauncey Golston's one of those dudes, much like Michael Gallup just retired, one of the sweetest men ever. And last year, it's like, guys, he can't really play anymore. I'm not saying Golston can't play NFL football, but boy, he seems kind of can get washed around, kind of thin for being down in there in the trenches. And I think if you had the right bodies and the bodies that you needed, well, Golston could help you out on the edge. Zimmer loves some big boys. If
Golston plays edge,
right?
He is an edge, yeah,
right. So I think they're in a spot that they can't lose anybody else.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine. I don't even want to put it in the universe if you were to lose one of your top 3 or 4 defensive linemen on this team, they are right there on the cusp of, dude, we don't have enough bodies to have NFL players out there all the time.
Well, Jeff, I've been saying this to Broaddus because me and Broaddus have Russia, but what I always say is that you can find a 1 tech to just kind of do the job, right? You probably can't find a 3 tech to do the job. Those dudes typically are a little more skilled, but like Quentin Bohanna would be fine right now if we had him. You know what I mean? Guys that we used to have, like Justin Hamilton, did the job for a long time. You know what I mean? So I don't know if those dudes are better than Mozzie right now, which would be upsetting if they are. But I do look at 1 tech kind of like I look at running back. Like those dudes typically go day 3. You know what I'm saying? Those heavier guys are just typically, you can go find somebody just to go be a heavy guy. As long as you're not asking to be skilled, like super pass rushy type dudes or whatever, just these 1 down dudes, I think you can find them somewhere. It's just a shame that it's not Mozzie right now.
I think they think so too. And then they did use a 1st round pick on one, but for the most part, that's been their philosophy, right? And then they've totally swung into we can find a running back wherever. Probably it's wild because they do things that I think once upon a time I'd have been like, yeah, that's really smart. Don't prioritize these certain positions. But if you ignore them enough, I go, hey, what are you doing? Like, we got to do something. And so we'll see. We'll see how they do it, D tackle and running back, won't we?
What's the name? Formula numbers 44888. Party at Jeff's. Brian Broaddus is the best of all time. That is true. Tell us about Nate Thomas and Junior Fehoko. As we were talking, I actually had a clip pulled up. This is what I think Junior's life is gonna be like. He's gonna be a teams dude, and he's beating the hell out of somebody. Who is his number 20, 30, whoever that is? A Junior is going to be a team guy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he's going to make a lot of impact in your D-line room, because if he is, I think I would have heard something. We would have seen something. We're at this point to where, like, if anybody's going to jump off the film, it would have happened by now. I ain't seen Junior jump nowhere. So in my mind, he's going to have to be a teams guy. Brian, Jeff, y'all was watching the lineman the other day. Did y'all see anything from rookie Nathan Thomas that had y'all believing that we could be looking for him for anything this year?
I think he's buried enough that I can't give you anything that jumped out about him. Like, I can't give you a positive or negative that jumped out.
Yeah, what number is he?
62. Yeah, he's wearing 62. I know that. And I know that on tape. I was like, oh, damn, another mean, strong guy. But I can't give you from practices like, oh, yeah, I really noticed him in the ones and the 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 or whatever.
I was watching young guy 1-on-1 the other day. And they got into the thing with Nathan Thomas is he's a powerful guy. He does everything with his upper body, and he gets a little top heavy with how he plays. Then they went to some what they call the 3-on-2, where they try and run twist stunts and stuff like that.
Sure.
And when he engages, like the punch that he had, like here's Fehoko trying to like loop around and all that. And it's like he sends the nose one way, and then here comes Fehoko, and it's like, bam, he catches him right there. Yeah. So the kid understands what he has to do scheme-wise, like in the twist stunt. I mean, he wasn't getting fooled. You worry about him being like too anxious and all of a sudden becoming overextended, and then Fehoko just runs around him, that kind of thing. This kid's kind of got a little bit of an understanding of like, okay, I've got to play back, but when he gets in trouble, you could tell it's going to be trying to be too aggressive, trying to be too heavy-handed, and try and find himself over the tops of his feet a little bit. But he gets work. He doesn't make like massive mistakes. I mean, hell, I've seen TJ Bass get run by a couple of different times, and he's a veteran, he's a second-year guy, but he's playing NFL games. So Thomas hasn't had that moment where I'm like going, oh damn, Leofeld just ran right by him, or Rodgers just arm over on Hoffman there. He hasn't had any major like, okay, that was on him plays that I've noticed in watching this group's work.
62 62 is a horrible number. Tell Bryan that Dirk and Allen loves him, even when he's meeting people in the post-game shows. Is there a real wide receiver you guys actually like? Is there a real wide receiver that you guys like? Who's been the best non-CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert receiver?
Does Turpin count?
Sure, I'm sure. Turpin wasn't on a whole bunch of receiving last year, so yeah, Turpin count. Yeah,
I would say it's Turpin, but I think in the interest of having fun with the question, I don't want to mess up his name. He's got the hyphens.
Tyron Billy Johnson.
Tyron Billy Johnson. Yeah, it was fun because also they had today we had Shoddy. We had Schottenheimer come and do the podium stuff. And that was one of the first dudes he mentioned too, was, as a guy that's getting a real opportunity, has been around, that hasn't really stuck in the league. And he talked about it, like the dude can run really, really fast, but now he's starting to kind of tighten it up with the routes. And you're able to see him separate a little bit and not just be a speed guy. If you were going to bet on a non-Jalen to be a guy who sneaks his way onto the team, I think that's the one. I think that's the name you hear the most, and I think he's the one that every practice, every day, there's 2 or 3 times where you go, ooh, there you went again. Kind of fun.
Is this our Vasher and those guys? We always
probably.
Yeah.
Probably, but if one's going to make it, I think it's him because he makes some plays. Cropper makes some plays. There's other guys that make some plays, but I think his is probably the most consistently. And I hear his name from the coaches more.
Yeah. And it's funny today because I was sitting there. I went through the mock game where it's walkthrough, and I was just kind of interested. They worked on silent counts today, which was really kind of cool. To usually you're so used to. Here we go, and you don't hear that. You just everybody's moving without. And it's while
Parsons is yelling at the offense, and they're doing
exactly.
Like, hey, shut up.
Parsons is yelling at but I think with Tyron Billy Johnson, I didn't know this about the guy. He's a 4-year NFL vet.
He's been around.
Yeah,
28.
He's been around, and so I was thinking, oh, here's a little nugget. He's overworking with the ones today, But I'm thinking. And I'm like, oh, wait, he's a 4-year guy. Hopefully he should be over there working with those. But is
there 6 guys over there? Because Cropper, I think, was the other one. Cropper and him were the 2 that aren't the big
They are putting the guy is putting together good days. And I mean, that's all I've asked. I've asked Tolbert, just be tough, put together good days. Brooks, put together good days. That's all I've asked. If these guys could find a way. And Billy Johnson has done that. Like there's been days where he's shown up and he's shown toughness and the route running, and he's been able to extend and get passes, and he doesn't look like he's busting out there. So good for him.
Bryan, Jeff, Voch says this.
Oh, Voch, don't say it.
My mom loves, by the way, when Voch says this.
Zimmer's going to hear what you say. You better be careful.
Yeah. They're going to clip this stuff. Get ready, Voch.
Get you.
Mm-hmm. They're not watching this.
They're watching.
That's good to know. I was listening to you guys talk a little bit ago, and I love the impromptu questions while we talking, right? We was talking about the possibility of Tyron Billy Johnson being the last receiver to make this team. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's just say they carry 6 receivers and he's the 6th receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say they carry 3 running backs and Hunter Lipke, right? And that's Rico, Zeke, whatever. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Zeke, Rico, Freeman.
Listening to Fossil talk, and he wants to do the whole 2 return man thing.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be Turpin by himself. At what point do we add Jalen Cropper into he can make the roster because of teams, or we can add Deuce to the running backs because he plays teams, right? At what point do we account for Deuce making the running back teams, or Cropper making the wide receiver list because they're both return guys and Turpin just can't do it by himself? That makes sense. I know I was kind of worried with that. That makes sense.
Yeah, but if he did, I would think that if you had
what I'm saying, Tyron Billy Johnson may be the better receiver.
Right.
But what's the name? Jalen Cropper is a return dude, and you need more than one of them. Royce Freeman may be the better running back, but Deuce Vaughn is a return guy for you. You understand what I'm saying? So at what point does the extra return guy, because Fossil say he wants 2 of them, and then somebody may get hurt, that's press squad, whatever. At what point do we have to add another dude to the roster at either wide receiver or running back to account for the need for one more dude that can return? That makes sense?
Yeah, I think it's possible. And Bryan, I want to know, who are you giving directions to? Who's trying to come up in the ballroom? Who's trying to mess with you, Bryan?
Bryan's.
I'm back. Got me?
Okay.
Yeah. I just didn't know. I didn't know who was messing with you in the ballroom. I wanted to see if I had to come down.
Yeah, there was in the ballroom here. We got like a concert, and a lady thought she can get in the door where I'm sitting right now. So I had to direct her around. I tried to give her. If you saw me, I'm like, around, ma'am. You got to go around. Around. So
okay, so I can see it, Voch, because I like part of
tomorrow. This is not happening anymore. I'm not in the ballroom anymore, and we're gonna be on the tennis courts. We're gonna be at practice, and damn it, I'm gonna have a good show because of it. All right.
And
Bryan is the door man. Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm in my room. So that's always a thing, right? Because I remember the last time that I asked a question, the coach said, "You know what? That's a good question." Was like 3 years ago. Whenever. Garrett? No, it was McCarthy when I was at camp, because I was asking about the Vasher stuff.
Yeah.
I was just like, he's having a nice camp and everybody's talking about it, but can he make the team if he's not on special teams?
Yeah.
And the answer is no. And so I think
how many guys you want to carry here? I mean, Voch,
well, that's like we got to watch.
Voch is acting like we're at college football, like we're Florida State, and we got.
We got it, but like guys. I think that's what I'm saying is, like, if you told me that they were going to keep Jalen Cropper because they think that he could be a 5th or 6th receiver, whatever, and he could be the other return man, then I would say, okay, that definitely means you're not keeping a Tyron Billy Johnson. Like, you're not going to keep 2 of those. I don't think. You're going to have CD if he ever gets signed. Ian Rappaport kind of scared me today.
What he ever
gets signed. Well, just like
go ahead.
He's just like, I think that they'll get it done before the season.
Oh,
not like in a couple days.
I predicted Saturday.
Yeah, me
days.
too. Yeah, I'm thinking this week.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I don't think we're going to get like 2 of the lesser known wide receivers and one of them's a returner. Like, if one of them makes a team, he's going to have to be a gunner, returner, whatever. And then I think that also means Deuce doesn't make the team, because to Bryan's point, we got to do math. We got to figure out how many of these guys can we keep.
I want to get rid of Zeke because I don't think Zeke's all that good. I would gladly roll with Royce, Deuce, and then
somebody asked McCarthy about Zeke tomorrow, and he's like, "Don't listen to Voch Lombardi reports. He's doing great."
Well, Zeke's. We love Zeke, and he's a tough leadership, and the guys love him. Hey,
is that the breathing? Do you doing the breathing and go along with it?
That's not him. But Zeke breathe just like that too. Though Zeke be like, Zach, like they nasally. You know what I'm saying? They both got the nasally thing going on. They both.
Zeke is having a blast, by the way. In the walkthrough today, Zeke is having a blast. Every time he gets the ball, he's just screaming. He's like, woohoo! Oh, yeah!
Because he ain't think he was going to be in the league no more because how bad he was. And he's surprised he got a job. I'd be excited,
Don DeMarco, here we go.
I'd be excited, too, if I got fired and I ain't think I was going to have no job and somebody called me with a job. Please.
Zeke complimented on my shirt today. He like, I'm wearing my purple and white check shirt, and Zeke goes, and I matched it with purple Nike socks. Yeah. Zeke goes, oh my gosh, you got it going today, man. You got this thing, and I'm like, thanks. But I knew he was busting my balls about it. I mean, I'm just like, okay. I almost went nice hair.
I thought Mozzie came to the hotel to fight. Because when I came back from getting my meat sticks, I went and bought a couple of meat sticks. When I came back, I parked and Clarence Hill was out front talking to, and this is going to be accidentally racist. Clarence Hill was out front talking to a very large man, and I'm like, man, that's a D tackle. That's a D tackle. And he had kind of the little braids, and I was like, oh crap. Mozzie came over.
Okay, that ain't too racist. Okay.
And so as I walk up, I look and I'm like, okay, because I haven't been like up close and no helmets on, and I can't facially recognize every cowboy. But I glanced down, and
all the black guys look alike, huh, Jeff? Go ahead and say it.
So now it's racist. But I looked down at his little croc slide, whatever, and I think I saw 98. So I think Carl Davis was out front. I was like, I've been nice to him. He ain't here to fight, so I'm fine. Yeah.
The new Dallas triplets here. Has there been any noticeable scheme changes, wrinkles on either side of the ball? Well, Zim's doing a lot of shit different than Dan. I think the offense is kind of doing what the offense, does. They're just kind of, building on, where they ended last year. But as far as defense goes, bro, Michael Parsons playing linebacker. You ain't been listening? Where you been? Yeah, fellas.
There's some of that, but you can't do too much of that if you don't have anybody else who can play defensive end.
Well, I just think you just gonna have to get all of your pressures from A-gap. I'm fine with that. If Michael Parsons just whoops guards and centers all day, I can live with that. That's where most of his stats came from anyway. I'm just fine with that. Appreciate you for your super Vance. And
they're having some fun looks. I don't know what the determination is from when they run it, but they have some fun looks where it's like there's 3 down guys, and sometimes Parsons will be down there, and then they'll have 3 linebackers going across, and they got 1 safety at the exact same level as 3 linebackers. And I'm just like, this is all stuff that looks fun. I don't know exactly what's happening right now. I don't have time to break it down, but that's kind of neat. I just got a straight 4-man line of 3 backers and Wanye Thomas, and we're just ready to rock.
Yeah, you know what I've noticed too today, and when they've had trouble, like say when the receivers run a route and then all of a sudden it's a completion where they felt like that maybe, okay, we were supposed to have that covered.
Yeah.
Al Harris is immediately on that. Like Al Harris is like, Zimmer was behind Al Harris today, and something happened where they curled inside on Bland, and the spacing wasn't right. And Al Harris, as soon as it happened, Al Harris ran over there and Zimmer walked over there, and they get this thing. I mean, it's like even though it was a little curl route inside, their spacing was bad, the coverage was bad, and Zimmer's yelling, "What coverage were we in?" Bland yelled back. Al Harris said, "Okay, we got to think about, they're not just letting this thing go to the next play, and we'll coach it when we see it on tape that night." They're like literally. And that's the great thing about, like I say, Al Harris being on the field where he is and Zimmer being there too. They're kind of looking at everything and seeing how it's rolling. And I like immediately how they're correcting it, where if there's a bust, it's like taken care of right now.
Al had a couple of skirts today when something would happen in the walkthrough. He was like, "Coach, show me that again."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think these coaches are meaner now, is what it is.
Because
I know that
1 year to get it right.
I know that's true. They're
meaner now.
This is a meaner group. This really is a meaner group.
Scanina, nothing makes him happier than to scream at somebody, "What the F was that?"
I just want to wrestle him to see what that feel like.
You don't want to wrestle him.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
I swear I do. I just want to see. I just want to test myself. I just want to see.
He doesn't wear it's shorter shorts or back, not
the hoochie. He's got the hoochie daddy shorts
But
on.
I think he's buying full size shorts, and they're tights. It's not right.
Jeff, I just want to see. I just want to test myself.
If he could wear like the 1980 bike coaching shorts from high school football days where they had a button on them, he would. That's the kind of he's that. His shirts are overly tight, and I mean he's a big guy.
That makes me want to wrestle even more. Like he's bigger than Carl. He's bigger than Mozzie and them. Like he's looking down at them.
Yeah.
Well, Voch, he's enhanced.
All right, then.
I'm not saying. I don't want him to come find me tomorrow. I know what it looks like when you just work out hard.
Tell him I said it.
All I know is you and I are going to be standing on that platform, and he is going to walk up to the railing, and I'm going to point right at you.
Okay, tell me it's creatine or whatever. You can tell me whatever you want. Whatever help. Okay, I'm just saying.
What are you doing right now? What are you doing?
Y'all are cowards. Who, me?
Have you been day drinking again?
I don't do that.
He's been dartying, not you. Him.
Who,
this
Jeff?
guy. This
guy. Yeah, Jeff drunk in the mouth. Yeah, Jeff.
He's not had the meat sticks. Where'd you go? Did you go to the rotor room again?
All I'm saying is that man has
Look at his eyes.
Of muscle.
Look at his eyes. Jeff's drunk as hell.
This is so embarrassing.
Jesus, man.
We're kicking you off the show tomorrow.
That's fine. That's fine.
Voch, Bryan, Jeff. Fan asked this. Mike asked this. How do y'all feel about the power of the offense to outscore what the defense may allow in points? I've been saying that for the past couple of years. We keep saying, "Hey, can we get some defense to help Dak?" But it always ends up being, "All right, offense, y'all got to score 30 because it just is what it is." So, do y'all think that the defense is actually gonna pull a little bit of weight this year? You know, in the good games that matter, I would say the defense is good versus the Giants, of course, but versus the teams that matter. Do you think that the defense will show up and help the offense in those games? Jeff,
you want to sell some hopium, bro? I could sell some hopium on that. I think you have a better chance against a good offense to be consistently good when you play consistently. Like Dan Quinn's defense, like I don't want to bash him now that he's gone and like, oh yeah, everything's always going to be better when somebody leaves. Like there's a lot of good in the fact that you've caused a bunch of turnovers and scored a bunch of touchdowns. Those are massive plays. It's great. But yeah, I think you have a better chance. Now we have to find out that they have good enough players at some important positions that at the moment we don't know that. But yeah, I think you have a better chance if you're just saying, no, consistently play in and play out. We're giving ourselves a better chance to have a good play than the idea that, well, it's going to pay off once I get this sack or it's going to pay off once I jump this route. I could buy that we like this defense a little bit better this year because of what they're doing schematically and kind of playing it safer.
But see, Jeff, Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore, they the same dude. Because on offense, touchdowns are great. But Kellen's not here because it ain't always time for a touchdown. It ain't always time to be running upfield trying to get a sack.
It's always time for a touchdown.
It's never always time.
It's always time for a touchdown.
Jeff been drinking. We got a couple more supers that we're gonna get up out of here. Adrian Lindsay said, I
thought that was a good explanation, Jeff. I'm sorry Voch didn't agree with you.
I'm drunk. What do you want?
Okay, he's admitting it.
And I'm high.
Voch, geez, what are we doing?
I'm high.
The meat sticks were a giveaway.
I'm drunk on a meat stick.
Faisal just cut one of his 30 TVs off. Do you think Dan Quinn's run defense scheme stunted the growth of our O-line run game potential? Nah, I don't think those two are correlated. I don't think those two are correlated.
Hold on, I've been drinking. Dan Quinn's.
Do you think Dan Quinn's run defense scheme
because everybody's going wild ass and just shooting gaps that you can't.
At practice, we never learned how to run block at practice.
I think the lack of having they misevaluated the linebackers. They thought that they could do it with Clark, Van Der Esch, those guys. I think they mismanaged that group. You know, they just said, okay, we could play with the big dime packages and stuff like that. I think that's where now they weren't very good tackling on the edge. Diggs wasn't particularly good at times on the force. And they didn't always get somebody in the alley on the safety part of it. So there were some things that were going on there, run defense wise. I don't think it's all about the defensive tackles. I think there was part of that, but I don't think it was all of it. I think the right end wasn't very good. I think that's why they drafted Nealon with the thought of maybe playing a little bit more power on the right edge, you know. And so I mean, Sam Williams was a rusher. He wasn't really a great run defender, but to that right side, man, they were struggling. They were struggling to kind of, and I think it was, but Dan wanting to play with that big dime that he was, a lot of it came out of, he had to do it out of necessity. But I think as a group, they just didn't play especially that right side didn't play particularly well for them.
Last one, and then we're gonna let Bryan go and get something to eat, and let Jeff go get
sober up,
get something else to drink. Nah, Jeff finna drink some more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Last year it was a linebacker situation. Now it's a D-line shortage. This is why we will never win a Super. This is why we'll never be a Super Bowl team. We're always unprepared. But Jerry is all in. Hey man, there's always something. We're very reactive. We're not very proactive. We wait till bad shit happens and then we go and do stuff. I would love to be in the D tackle running back market. Jeff Drunk. I would love to be in the D tackle running back market right now, but hey, we're gonna have to wait till something happens to be in the D tackle running back market. It just is what it is. Fellas, y'all got anything else before we let Jeff go to sleep and let Bryan get something to eat?
No, Jeff, don't be doing this now. What are you doing? Stop it. Stop with yourself.
All right, y'all. I'm Voch Lombardi. This is time for Jeffrey on Twitter, and Bryan Broaddus on Twitter is going to be answering questions in the morning. Y'all hold down with the dose. Peace, Weezy. We